Let's see if it's going to play ball and go live. Come on, Facebook, you can do it. Let's see. Just going to head on over to my page, have a quick look-see. Okay, right, we're definitely live now. So, cool. Fab. Alrighty, let's rock and roll and let's get this party started. Just going to double check and make sure. Right, yes. Right, I think we're cooking with gas now. So let me do that. Give me 1 second. Just going to make sure I can hear myself. And let's get this party started. Yay. Right, it's all working. Okay, here we go. Thank you so much for joining me. Now, we're going to do this in 2 parts. If you've only got like 10, 15 minutes or so, I'm going to give you a summary of everything that's coming up. If you've got a bit longer, then what I'm also going to do is go into a little bit more detail about what's on offer, what's going on, what's happening as we kind of close out this decade and move into a new one. So this is going to be taking you through some of the new offers, new products that have come out recently, things that are going to be launching into 2020 and beyond. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do very quickly, because I've had this conversation a few times right up until yesterday, is just have a quick overview of why I do special offers and why I absolutely love them. We're also going to talk about the new e-learning platform. There are 8 programs that have just been launched there, so I'm going to tell you all about that. We're going to look at some of the client testimonials and results, just so you get a flavor of kind of, you know, what goes on, what you can kind of expect. We're going to look at the new transformation gift vouchers. Cannot believe it has taken me 19 years to sort those out, but hey, better late than never. So I'll tell you how that works and how you can save £60 off the price of a gift voucher, which pretty much is almost like a free session. We're also going to look at some of the current early booking prices that are going to be expiring this month if you're watching in real time. And actually, even if you're not watching in real time, oftentimes I have offers that are expiring, you know, because depending on how early you book, the offers will expire. So it's probably likely that you could still grab yourself a deal, even if you're not working in real time. But I'm just going to tell you about the one that's expiring now, well, in the next 2.5 days. I'm also going to talk to you about the free online Hollywood Masterclass series. Oh my God, I cannot tell you how much I am loving this series. I've learned so much already. I'm only about a week into it, and you can win a whole 12 months free guest pass, all access all areas. So I'll tell you about that. And we're also going to talk about the Ultimate You Mind Fest. So let's rock and roll. Also, if you would like to, for those who like a bit of sharing, if you share this webinar or live stream, just tag me if you're sharing the link, or if you're sharing it via YouTube, because I obviously won't see when you share it if you do that. Let me know which one-day video webinar workshop you would like to do, and I'll send you a link for 60% off if you're doing that during this beta test launch that I'm going to talk to you about here today. So that's that. Now, in terms of why I love offers, early booking prices, pre-launch deals, etc. Number one, and this really is a big driver for me, it's to help people who are in a similar position to the position that I was in. Because there were times when I first started out in personal development, I'd look at things, I'm like, I'd love to do it, just haven't got the money, can't afford that, if only. And so this is for people who want to act early. You get a much better deal if, you know, for taking action, and it means then you don't have to miss out and be on the sidelines. You can do it at a much more reasonable price, even though I would say my prices are really good and very much on the low side, which I will be addressing in the new decade. But you know, it means you can get a much better deal and you don't have to miss out because of money, because of finances. So that's number one for me. Second thing is, first job for me was in retail. I worked for the House of Fraser and Harrods group. Even to this day, I mean, I don't think people queue in the streets and camp out overnight anymore for the Harrods sale, but it's still quite a big deal for those of you who like shopping. And that's the industry I grew up in. So Red Cross, Blue Cross, Green Cross, you name it, cross, getting a really good, because it was the joy, for those of you who like a bit of shopping, of getting something, go, oh my God, this is worth this, and I only paid that. I still love that. I get a real buzz from that. So I really like creating that for myself with my programs. And also on a practical level, particularly when it comes to things like in-person workshops. And I'm not talking so much about that today. What happens with that is it helps me to forward plan, because I get a sense of, okay, how many people are interested, who's going to be coming, and that gets my first baseline layer of people booked in. And with regards to the online programs and workshops, which I will be talking about today, it then gives me a sense of which of these are most popular. So if I see people going for a particular topic, title, course, that then tells me that actually maybe the next things I should launch will be in alignment with that, related to that, an extension of that, a more in-depth version of that. So that in a nutshell is kind of why I love doing special offers and special deals. One of them that's coming up, and it's actually running right this minute, is the online Ultimate You Mind Fest. I love these Mind Fests. Incredible material, stuff that ordinarily you would have to pay several $100s for. And every couple of months, the company behind it, some of you will know of Dr. Paul Sheely because of what I do with the photo reading, Paul's company, they offer these free of charge for a set period of time. So this one started on Boxing Day. For those of you in the United States, you have about 24 hours to watch each of the 3 days. I think they normally be anywhere between 4 to 5 to 5 to 7 days. Us in the UK, because we're in a slightly different time zone, we get about 36 to 48 hours to watch each of the modules. So if you're very quick, you can still get in there and probably see, just, you know, catch the first one and do the whole program online. And it's the whole course. Some of them are audio programs, some of them are video programs. But if you haven't yet signed up, what I'll do after this video is I'll put all of the links into the description of this video or in the comments, and it means you can sign up for that. So definitely take advantage of that one. That's the first one, that's going to be expiring in the next couple of days. Now, this one I'm really excited about, the masterclass. Oh, man. And my question, as you can see here, if you're watching this rather than listening, is who are you sitting down with for your next masterclass? So you could be with Dustin Hoffman. You could be with Martin Scorsese. You could sit down with Samuel L. Jackson. You could sit down with Shonda Rhimes, the woman behind a number of the kind of hit TV shows at the moment. Or you could go totally off-piste and you know, hear about how Disney made the deal with Steve Jobs. I watched the masterclass with Misty Copeland. I haven't yet watched the Stephen Curry thing, but for those of you who are into sports, you might want to sit down and learn how to play like Steph, review the game footage with Steph. Just amazing. I actually sat down a couple of days ago with Anna Wintour, editor-in-chief of Vogue, and basically spent a day going around with Anna, attending the meetings. It's just been absolutely fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And so what you can see here is I've purchased an extra pass, like a gift pass, which I'm going to give away to someone. So that box where it says this could be you with a red arrow, once I hit that box, I will be typing someone's name into that box, and you too could be spending the day with people. You know, Jodie Foster, I'm really looking forward to that as well, because I grew up watching Jodie Foster. I did the Ron Howard masterclass a couple of days ago. Oh my God, beyond fascinating. I also did a political history class. At the moment, I'm learning about space exploration with an astronaut. It's just been amazing. So you can win this. What you can also do is it's free to enter. And what you can also do to increase your chances of winning is you can bump up the number of entries you get. You can go back every day and give yourself a daily boost. And then there are various things you can do, like subscribing to my Twitter account, watching a video. What else we got there? Following me on Twitter, having a look at my Instagram page, checking out my new podcast, and all of those will put extra points into the kind of the draw for you. So completely free of charge. I would highly recommend you do that. The next one that's running out soon is the Mind Body Spirit Energy Fest, and that's www.mbsenergyfest.eventbrite.com if you want to check that one out. And this is feedback from someone who, this was from when I ran it in 2018. She had attended the year before in 2017, and what she said when I was going around the room saying, why are you here? What would you like to get from this workshop? One of the things is from Noreen. She said, I couldn't ask for anything more. all of my hopes have been blown out of the water. So more of the same. I've had the best year. And that is what people said from the second year. And now next year, 2020, is going to be our 10th anniversary year. As I was going around the room speaking to people and saying, why are you here? What would you like to get from the workshop? Everybody who had attended the year before said exactly the same thing as Noreen was saying here. And I think this one for me sums it up beautifully. This was from Amana Shaka, who was there on that very first time when I ran it 9 years ago. And she said, almost everything I called for when on the first MBS workshop has manifested. 0 credit card debt, worked in Saudi, moved to Atlanta to be with my children. She says, get into the vortex. So this one has always been a bit of a game changer for people, really, really life changing. Some of you might have seen me share the update from Noreen. She couldn't actually attend this year. The reason being because things she had spoken about the year before, and when we were doing our coaching sessions and stuff in the membership group, she was off living that. So I think at the time we were running it, she was out on an adventure in India. So, but she wrote a really fantastic piece, just summarizing. And the thing that Amana and I coined all those years ago after this was speaking it into existence. And that's one of the things that definitely happens for people. So the early booking price for that one is expiring at the end of this month if you wanted to join us. So head on over to the Eventbrite page and you can grab that. Next, what we have is the Transformations gift vouchers. And at the moment for the launch, if you're buying one of the £150 gift vouchers, you actually save yourself £60. So you could maybe be buying this as a gift. I would say it's the perfect gift for someone who has everything and you can't think of what to get them. This will be perfect. You can also apply it to coaching sessions. You can apply it to in-person workshops. You can apply it to the online programs and one-day video webinar workshops that I'm about to talk to you here today. And it also means it may be that there's something you want to do. You could maybe start saving towards that. Let's say photo reading, for example, is on your list. And you wanted to start kind of saving towards that. This will be a fantastic way to do it and saving yourself some extra money into the bargain. It's a very long URL. It's on the screen. I'll say it as well. So it's www.bookme.name/Marilyn Devonish/gift-voucher-150. So if you go there, click on the link as it stands at the moment, it will be at £90 for the £150 gift voucher. And of course, if you're gifting it to someone, they'll see the 150, they won't see what you've actually paid for it, which I think is kind of cool as well. So that's something else that's kind of new in at the moment. So do check that out. It's a really good way, I'd say, of saving up and maybe future proofing. It might be something you kind of go, look, it's nothing I want to do right this second. However, I know that I will want to do some coaching, therapy session, breakthrough session, attend a workshop in the new year. So you can kind of buy a stockpile, as many of those as you like. That's that. And the e-learning platform. So with regards to the e-learning platform, and this is going to be a longer segment, what I'll do before we get into that is I'll also just give you a very quick whistle-stop tour of who I am and what I do for those people who may be watching this who haven't met me before. And what you've got at the moment, what you can see on the screen is the new e-learning platform that I launched a couple of days ago. At the moment, it's 30% off while I'm in beta test mode. And also for those of you who share this video, tell me which of the one-day video webinar workshops or audio coaching programs you want to do, and I will send you a link that will give you 60% off. So if you're watching this in real time, you can send me a message, you can email me, or you can put a comment in the thread. And if at the moment, if you're watching this on Facebook, which you probably are initially, then if you just hit the share button, I can just see who shared, and tell me which workshop you want to do, and I'll send you a link where you can get 60% off. So that's in a nutshell kind of what we've got coming up. What I'm going to do with each of the programs is I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of what we cover on each of those one-day video webinar workshops. I'm going to share with you a little bit of the curriculum. I'm going to give you a look at the actual platform itself, so you can just get a sense of how it all works. And with some of them, because I've had a few questions, and people have said, oh, well, what would your tip be for that? So I'll just share with you some tips and insights as we go through each of the programs as well. And if you have questions, if you have queries, you can DM me. You can put them in the thread on Facebook, or you can email me. What I would say with the thread on Facebook, because Facebook is a little bit temperamental, as some of you may know if you do your own Facebook Lives. It doesn't always show the comments until after the fact. So I'd say it's probably going to be easier to message me or email me. Now, granted, I have not been looking at my messages or my emails over the Christmas period, and I probably won't be throughout January as well, hence getting stuff online because I'm having a month off. But, you know, message me or email me. That's probably the most efficient way to get me to see your question while I'm live. But if outside of that, you've got any questions, you've got any queries, put them into the thread on Facebook or in the comments on YouTube, and I will cycle back and answer those. And I'm just going to have a quick look-see. I don't think there's anything at the moment. I think we're all good. Put them into the thread. Hang on Facebook or in the comments. Let me just turn the sound off. Yeah, anyway, so I'll try and cycle back and look at the Facebook comments. But as I said, it doesn't always work in real time. Let's turn it that way. But right. So before we get into each of the programs and what you'll be getting for the online video webinar trainings and audio programs, a little bit about myself. I had a very traditional background, did a business studies degree, postgraduate marketing diploma with the Chartered Institute of Marketing, was studying to be a chartered accountant. Was also very quiet, very shy, terrified of public speaking. What I wouldn't have said about myself back then, but became very apparent when I stumbled into personal development back in October 2000, was that I also had very low confidence, very low self-esteem. And all of that came to a head when the partner I was with at the time had an affair and I'd contemplated suicide. That also coincided with me having, you know, a few months before I'd signed up for a personal development training, which I did try to get out of going to. Ended up on that training, as you can see from the list on the slide. The rest, as they say, is history. Was complete convert. You know, I went in thinking this is a load of nonsense. I just want my money back, because I don't see how just talking to someone and, you know, hypnosis could help in any way, shape or form. I am truly at rock bottom. And by the end of 7 days, I was completely, as I said back then, transformed, hence transformations. And you know, thoughts of suicide, it just seemed like another person, another life. I was like, wow, this is amazing. So from there went on to become a practitioner, master practitioner and trainer of NLP and hypnosis and timeline therapy. Was also blown away with HUNA, H-U-N-A, which is one of the one-day video webinar workshops that I'm launching on the new platform. So I've been out to Hawaii a couple of times to study HUNA and what some people might know as Ho'oponopono, although it's a different version of Ho'oponopono. It's a full-on process with the stage and the Arc of Connections, etc. Did trainings in terms of became a certified life coach, also did an executive coaching diploma, and added probably 20 different modalities, everything from EFT, DNA theta healing, access consciousness, access bars, tarot, soul plan reading, you name it, it's in there. Was also blown away by the photo reading. Gee, changed my life completely. And in my mid-20s, I was diagnosed with what was thought to be early onset Alzheimer's, and the photo reading just changed everything. So that's actually included in the 30% off as well, if you wanted to take the full 3-day certification class online. And alongside that, started also working as a corporate trainer and Prince 2 project manager in 2003, mainly working in central and local government, leadership development, change management, smart and flexible working. So very different, but, you know, a lot of the skills that I use in the coaching and the NLP, etc., lend themselves beautifully to doing that. And having been terrified of public speaking, is now one of the things I absolutely love. So I run workshops, seminars, both in the UK and abroad, and also Facebook Lives, and as we're going to talk about today, online video webinar workshops. So that's me in a nutshell. I also write for a number of newspapers and magazines, have been doing that since 2002/3, and started off with everything to do with emotional health and well-being, and over the years that's transitioned into writing about kind of business topics and etc. as well. And the first book that I co-authored, if you're in personal development, you've probably heard of Tony Robbins. Paul Shealy, creator of photo reading, the late Dr. Wayne Dyer, Chun Yi Lin, if you know about Spring Forest Qigong, and business guru Brian Tracy. And that was called Stories of Transformation, which of course was right on my street, given that it's all about transformation for me. So that's a little bit about me in a nutshell. For those of you who are coming in later, just to kind of remind you, if you want to share this webinar or live stream, tag me if you're not just hitting the share link. You might be sharing the link from YouTube, let's say. So tag me in, let me know which of the one-day video webinar workshops I'm about to talk about that you'd like to do. And while the beta test is on, I'll send you a link where you can get 60% off of that. So here we go. Here's a summary of the online workshops and courses which I've just launched a couple of days ago. We've got the Money Breakthrough one-day video webinar workshop. We've got the Mind, Body, Spirit Energy Fest. There's a one-day video webinar workshop of that as well if you can't make it in person. We've got the 3-day photo reading online certification course. And what I've done is I've set up a free intro course on the platform if you wanted to go and have a look at that and kind of get a sense of what it's all about. I've also set up the Archetypal Journey course. That's a free course as well, so you get a feel for the platform. There's the one-day Huna and Ho'oponopono intro workshop. There's the one-day Fearless Public Speaking video webinar workshop, because for the first 9 years that I was in practice, I spent most of my time doing relationship coaching and helping people overcome their fear of public speaking. There's also the one-day Practitioner Insider Secrets workshop, and that's designed for coaches, consultants, therapists, business owners who have got loads of ideas and want help bringing those ideas, getting it out of your head and into fruition and creating your own products and courses, etc. And then we've got the Healing Heartbreak and Surviving and Thriving After an Affair audio program. So that's the short version. If that's all the time you've got, that's basically it. One of the things you can do, I would say, let me just see. I'm going to give you a link, which I think will be the best one for you to kind of look at. Let me do that. Aha, that's the one I'm looking for. So what you might want to do if you want more information, and it might be that you're watching this outside of, you're not in real time, you might be watching this a couple of weeks or a couple of months after this webinar has gone live. And so what you can do, because there's a place where I tend to now put all of my special offers. So go to www.bit.ly/current offers TM. So current offers TM. And what you're going to find on that page at the moment, if you're watching this in real time, is a link where you can access these various offers. So that would be the thing I would say you might want to do. If you're watching this in real time, you want to find out a bit more about any of the things that I'm doing. So first workshop, so that's that, yeah. First workshop is the one-day money breakthrough video webinar workshop. This one is designed to help you explore your relationship with money, expanding your soul consciousness, your awareness, uncovering your money genealogy. That's things you pick up from your family, your ancestors, karma, all of that sort of stuff. It's about changing old dichotomies and paradigms and thoughts and beliefs that maybe keep you stuck. It's also about not just uncovering those, but resolving those old negative emotions and limiting beliefs. And it's a mix of experiential exercises, energy clearing, and also taking you through a summary of, this is based on my 28-day e-coaching program that I developed probably about six or so years ago now, where every day for 28 days you receive an email with a 2-page PDF e-coaching exercise. And so what I've done with this workshop is taken those exercises and put them into a one-day workshop, because not everyone likes I love the e-coaching format. People, when I first ran it with the Magic and Gratitude program, I remember, because I used to, back in the day, and with the Magic and Gratitude, I first launched that in 2013. So things weren't as, it doesn't sound like that long ago, but things were not as automated as they are back then. I remember I'm in bed one morning, it's about 5:15, 6 in the morning, get a message from someone who's taking part, lovely guy called Ben, and it's like, hey Marilyn, haven't received today's exercise. And that was the moment I realized that people were actually really looking forward and forward to receiving them. And people say it's like having a gift every single morning. So when I did get automated, I set them to go out at around 5:30 in the morning for the early risers who look forward to them. And this is a way that you can do the whole thing as a one-day program rather than, you know, spreading it out over the 28 days. Now, in terms of people's experiences, when I first started to run this as an online program, this is from Amana again, and she said, one of the things she said about this, because that might be a bit small if you're on your device, she said, we rarely examine our relationship with money, yet if we took the time, we might be amazed at how much it says about our relationship with people. Be bold, ... Take the first step, improve your relationship with money, and you might be pleasantly surprised. I recommend this program. It does more, capital letters, than what it says on the tin. And I like to think that all of my programs do that. You think you're getting one thing, you're going to get that, of course, and so much more. And that was when I first launched the 28-day e-coaching program, upon which the one-day video webinar workshop is based. I've had people going through this program recently, and some of the other things that I put together, the Raising Your Money Vibration series, which was a 10-part video webinar series. And a couple of weeks ago, when I was talking about the launch of the one-day webinar, I got a little bit told off from someone who was, we were in the middle of the webinar. I was running the webinar that you will now be able to purchase, and we stopped for lunch, and in the lunch break I was just sharing some of the feedback about the miraculous things that had already happened for people who've been on this journey with me. And I get back into the group and I get a little bit of a telling off. One of the Dave, who was on the program, he says, hey Marilyn, I saw your Facebook live, very cool, but you didn't mention my multiple, in capital letters, 6-figure increase from your HUNA intention. And Dave was saying on the program, you know, having done some of the Raising Your Money Vibration program and some HUNA, he said, there's been such a shift. I was sitting here and I couldn't think of any bad phrases for money, which was a lovely turnaround, because it started off, everyone was in the same boat where they had a truckload of limiting beliefs and negative emotions and old judgments to clear. So that's really nice, and that'll give you just a little bit of a flavor of what to expect. This was from someone who first took part in the program when I first developed it all those years ago. And they said, this is the first time in 4 years, both my business and personal bank accounts have had positive balances. It's major. And, you know, when you're coming from a place where maybe you're always overdrawn, and as my mum used to say, robbing Peter to pay Paul and making ends meet, some of the statements that people shared when we were doing the program, that's major to have, you know, positive balances. So I also had someone recently, some of you might know, lovely Anne Coppins, the founder of Gamification Nation, and she sent me a message a couple of months ago saying, Marilyn, kudos to you here. We grew by 300%. And I don't know what it is about that 300% number, but if you go to the testimonials page on my Transformations website, you'll see a video testimonial from one of my lovely clients, David Key, who said exactly the same thing when we did a one-day breakthrough session around business and money and finances, etc. So had some really lovely things happen for people. Well, there you go. There's the one I've highlighted from David. He says, my revenue is up by 300% since working with you, Marilyn. And this was years ago, probably 7 or 8 years ago, but I don't know what it is about that 300% number. I love it. More of the same. That's fantastic. So yeah, we've had some very, very cool things. Now, what I'm going to say about this program and all of the others thereafter is issue a bit of a disclaimer. None of my programs offer financial advice. Let's just say we're there for entertainment purposes only, and participants are responsible for their own actions, their own decisions taken. I cannot guarantee what results you will get, but I'll share with you the results some of my clients have got as we go through this live stream and webinar. But I can't say that every single person is going to have exactly the same results. But, you know, I will share with you what people have experienced so you get a flavor of it for yourself. And then I always say, you know, notice what you notice. Cool. I will answer that one in a second. Well, not in a second, but in a bit. And in terms of my first suggestion with getting started on this one, if that's the place where you want to start, I would say it's going to be really important to clear old limiting beliefs and negative emotions. So what we did, and what you'll do on the program as well, is I did a survey with everyone who was taking the program on the webinar, and also who was taking part of the time in the Raising Your Money Vibration program, and got all of those limiting beliefs. And then we did a whole HUNA and access consciousness clearing process around all of those limiting beliefs. And what you'll find, if you've ever done any of the HUNA with me, is even if you haven't come up with that belief, if it resonates with you and you say yes when we're doing the clearing, it will clear for you as well. And that's one of the things I really like about these programs, because sometimes you can't see where you are when you're in it. You know, as my economics teacher used to say, you can't see the wood for the trees. And so you might be in the middle of it, somebody else then articulates it, and you go, oh my God, yeah, that's it. And the nice thing is, as I'm clearing for one person, it clears for everyone. So a bit of fluff. We'll take you through all of those limiting beliefs and clear those. But I'd say that was a good starting point if you're just kind of doing something for yourself. We talked about the MBS Energy Fest workshop a little bit, in terms of, you can see some of the feedback forms that I've had over the years. Somebody had rated it, because I asked, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this workshop? Somebody says 100 out of 10, and somebody says 11 out of 10, out of this world, off the chart, brilliant, fantastic, off 100 out of 10, off any scale. So always well received. If you want to grab the pre-launch price for that, because it's now 12 months away and people do book over a year in advance for this one, go to www.mbsenergyfest.eventbrite.com. You will find information there. There's also 30% off the online photo reading certification training if you want to find out any more about that. The link that you can see there is if you wanted to do the in-person workshop, which is secretofphotoreading.eventbrite.com. But that one is always mind-blowing. When I ran it as a video webinar for the first time, one of the first people to take part, she said, wow, this is a simple yet incredibly powerful and liberating skill to have that transforms and skyrockets the ability to absorb and recall information when needed. That was fantastic, because the workshop had never been run in this format before, and photo reading is coming up to being about 30 years old now, and no one in the world had ever run it in this way. So it was really a world first. So I was confident it was going to be fantastic and amazing and mind-blowing, just like my in-person workshops. But until you've run it, you're not 150 million% sure. So it was really lovely to have people have that reaction. Someone else said it was fun, it was energizing, it was mind expansive, and it was effective. And what was really cool about it was, after the 22 hours that we were on that webinar, of course, we all had a break, and you know, I split it into 2.5 days, but people were feeling both relaxed and energized. And that's a long time to be sat at a PC doing an online workshop. Because I know in people's minds sometimes when you say online video webinar, and some of you know Tracy Lawrenson, and she said to me, oh, Marilyn, you shouldn't really call them video webinar workshops, because I've done some of your workshops and they're alive, they're dynamic, they're interactive. So I'm currently thinking of a better name for them. But I know that oftentimes when people think about doing courses online, they see it like a passive experience, a bit boring and tiring. 22 hours, people were still buzzing, and they said exactly the same as they say on the in-person workshop. Oh my God, I can't believe it's gone that quickly. You know, wow. And people always say they wish it was longer. So that's really nice. So it's very energizing and very dynamic. And we also, depending on which of the workshops you're purchasing, let's just say when I did the HUNA workshop and the Practitioner Insider Secrets, for example, I did those as 2 half-day modules. So each module is 4.5 hours long. And within that, you know, there'll be a point where I say, right, we're going to have a 15-minute break. I play a video or something like that. And then what happens is, after that, we reconvene and we restart. And when you're watching the webinar, I suggest that if you don't need a break at the time where we're having a break, maybe just continue on fast forward, or there may be an exercise that you want to put more time into. And there are some of the webinars that I've run as complete one day. So for example, the 1-day money breakthrough video webinar workshop, that's 8 hours. And in the middle of it, we have a 1 hour break. So during that time, I played a few videos, etc. And again, you can fast forward if you don't need to have a break when we have a break. But I know that people have enjoyed doing the workshop in real time and putting a day aside and just doing everything that we're doing on the workshop. So I've designed them so that, you know, you get your breaks and you can simulate being there like the real thing if you want to. Now, with the photo reading workshop, there's the 3-day online video certification course that is also on the new platform. And there's also the live version. So what I'm doing with this one, if you're watching this in real time, I'm going to be agreeing with the dates for people who have taken up the early booking price. And included in that price, you get your 150-page photo reading book. You might be able to see one shelf behind me. You get the photo reading full color playbook, which is a quick reference guide. You get your Paraliminal CD. You get your tips and insights CD. You get your lifetime certificate. You get the same material for the online certification class, but you get it as PDFs, as MP3 and as MP4 downloads, depending on, you know, whether it's a recording or the video, etc. But you'll get the same course materials, but you get them as soft copies and as kind of as downloads. So that's kind of what's included with that one. And I think for me, this just sums it up really. This is a guy who works in IT and software development, really wasn't expecting to get anything more than learning how to read faster. And his feedback was the best personal development course I have ever attended, hands down, because people don't expect it to be what it is. And I think the things I hear most often about the photo reading, number one, I wish I'd come sooner when you first told me about it. Number two, wow, I didn't expect it to be this. This is so much more than photo reading. Number four, can't believe it's over, it's gone so quickly, even though it's a full-on 3 days. And one that people often say is you're not charging enough. So that is something at some point I will address as well, but I want to do my best to keep it kind of affordable for people. But yeah, depending on when you're watching this will depend, because the early booking prices for the in-person workshops reduce as we get closer to the workshop. So in the kind of month or so before, it's full price. But if you're booking a few months in advance, it's either 20% off, 15% off, or 10% off. So it'll just depend where you are in terms of time scale. The next workshop we have is the archetypal journey. So for those of you who love movies, you already know the archetypal journey, even if you don't know it consciously. In terms of some of the benefits and kind of personal reasons why it's interesting and useful and helpful to know more about it, it can give you more clarity about where you are in terms of your life path. Oftentimes people find that it clears the confusion and sense of uncertainty and chaos. And the way I've put it is the meaninglessness of life then suddenly has meaning. You're like, oh my God, totally makes sense now. You can identify where you are, which is always interesting. But what's even more interesting is, okay, what's the next stage and what is required and what would it be useful for you to do and what are the qualities you can embody to help you get there. And then you can choose the most appropriate archetypal profile and energy for the next stage or the next challenge and the thing that you're facing. For those of you who are coming at it from a more corporate perspective, then you can use it for enhancing and improving kind of team performance, your personal effectiveness, client and staff relationships, because the insights you get are really deep. You can identify best fit when it comes to training requirements, where to place someone. There's the whole thing about creating a really strong brand identity, always really useful for being able to do that. And the whole thing about having more congruency and being more focused and more targeted in terms of where you're going with your organization, also kind of feeding into your marketing. So lots of different ways that you can kind of use this information. Just to give you a sense, and what I've done with this one, this is one of the free courses. So you can do a bit of a preview without having to sign up for anything. If you maybe wanted to take the archetypal journey quiz to see where you are on your own archetypal journey, and then what you'll see when you land on the page, which is transformations.newzenla.com if you're kind of going just the main website, but I'll share the link a bit later where you can get the 30% off or the 60% off if you shared this webinar. And what you'll then see are all of the lessons that you can take and the various things. And so for this one, you can how to log into the free video webinar that I've set up. You can take the archetypal journey quiz. You can book yourself an archetypal profile session if you wanted to do that, and also to see the archetypal archetypal journey in action and give it a lot more context, there's a free ebook that I've included as well. So that's one of the free courses that you can do if you wanted to find out more about that. I've also included the HUNA one-day video webinar workshop is also in the stack of the 8 courses that I've just uploaded. So people have said about this one, it's healing, inspiring, motivating, fulfilling. This one makes me giggle. So I say, what's one word? And somebody went worth it, worth dash it. So it is hard to describe these things in one word. And the HUNA shows up in the most incredible, miraculous of ways. So this is from someone, for example, who was on my photo reading workshop, because I include a HUNA session as a free bonus, both on the video webinar program and the in-person workshop. And so she'd said, talk about grabbing the bull by the horns. When you did the HUNA healing on me, oh my God, I couldn't believe how accurate your diagnosis was. You didn't tell me you were a doctor as well as everything else. And so people often have quite profound experiences of it, even when it's not a HUNA workshop. And I'm just doing a burst of a couple of minutes of HUNA. So what you get with the one-day video webinar is you get the video webinar workshop. It was filmed with a live audience, so they're going to be asking questions, probably the similar or even the same questions that you would be asking. So you'll get your answers to those. It's on demand. Running time for this one is 8.5 hours. I've said lifetime access grayed out. Up until now, whenever someone has purchased an e-coaching program for me and a video webinar workshop, I always offer them as lifetime access. Once you've purchased it, you have it forever. One of the things I have to be a little bit more mindful of is that I have to pay for these platforms. I have to pay for hosting them. So if you're purchasing now while I'm doing my beta test and launch, etc., it's going to be the same as always. However, next year I'm going to start thinking about possibly when people purchase these courses, you get them maybe for 12 months or 24 months. I'm still thinking about that, hence I haven't brought it into force yet, but thereafter, if you wanted to retain access to it, there'll be a nominal charge to give you your access, which means that I'm not paying every single year to host it, and people have only paid once. But for now, you get lifetime access if you're purchasing at the moment. In terms of going into a little bit more detail about what we're covering, we look at the HUNA lineage and the history. We're looking at HUNA and the power of the words and the symbols. We're looking at the HUNA foundation, some of the applications, ways you can use the HUNA for self-empowerment. We're looking at the assumptions of HUNA magic, one of my favorites. And when people hear this bit, they're like, oh my God, that is the whole of modern day personal development, right back to the days of Napoleon Hill and well before then, summed up in a nutshell. There are a lot of experiential exercises. I also take you on a journey, an introduction to Ho'oponopono and higher self therapy, which is different to the words, the I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you, that you hear on social media. Show you the waking meditation, which was one of my favorite ways and still is one of my favorite ways to reduce stress and anxiety and remain calm under pressure. And, some of the HUNA rituals. So I share with you the Ahi ritual and some of the daily practices. So all of that is included in the one-day video webinar workshop. And the HUNA, of course, it's great for healing and clearing energy, etc. There's also, fantastic ways of using it in kind of work and in business to get more clarity, to get more focus, to get more direction. So, possibilities with that one, I'd say, are endless. And the way I used to describe HUNA when I first started, because I was trying to put it into words, I'm like, I cannot put it into words. But most people had heard of Reiki. So I would say to people, it's like Reiki on steroids. And I don't drink. But when I was growing up, there was an advert from a beer company called Heineken. And it said, Heineken refreshes the parts that other beers cannot reach. And I say HUNA also does the same thing. And a question I get asked a lot is, okay, what if I'm watching this as a webinar recording? What if I'm listening to an audio recording? Does the HUNA energy work in the same way? So we'll definitely talk about that as well. These are just some of the things that people have said when describing the HUNA workshop. So insightful, energetic, exciting, revealing, practical, impactful, value for money, resourceful, excellent, powerful, deep, unmissable, inspiring, clearing, magical, comprehensive. And so if you wanted generally some more information about that one, you can go to the Eventbrite page, which is www.hunaintro.eventbrite.com. And also, if you're watching this out and you're not in real time, that's probably the place to look, because the 30% off or the 60% off if you've shared won't be available. So that's that. Let's have a little chat, because this doesn't just apply to the HUNA. It really is to all of the exercises and processes that we do. But a question I get a lot is, do the HUNA energy clear and do the clearings and coaching exercises, etc., work via the recordings? If you're purchasing something after the fact and you weren't there with us live, I could just give you the quick version and go, yes. It's a straight out yes, but I'll just give you maybe just a few examples. Now, what people found, and this was with the money breakthrough and raising your money vibration, particularly because it's such a tangible thing and people knew what they wanted to achieve and what they were going for. People found that as soon as they'd made the decision to sign up and signed up, stuff started happening. Things started shifting and changing. And one from the UK, one, I don't know, I think where does he live? Is it Manchester? Is it Wales? I don't know, but he's nowhere near London. And then somebody out in Canada. 3 of them, we hadn't even started the program yet. They did not know each other. They're not connected in any way, shape or form. But they also, once they made the decision, they signed up. They all had things happen with money, windfall, income, great news, etc. And so I started to get messages. This was one of them. She says, did you HUNA the program before we started? Because I've already had money and new deals coming in as soon as I signed up. And yes, I did. What I did before I launched the online programs was that I sat and I thought about people who would be signing up. No one had signed up at that point because I hadn't even done the pre-launch. And I sat and I HUNA'd the program. If you've seen me do HUNA, then you'll know about the... And I basically sat and I HUNA'd the program with the intention that when people sign up, they will receive the energy and benefit of that. And lo and behold, the messages started coming in going, did you HUNA the program before we started? Because they were just like, what the hell is going on? So that was someone else sent me, this is Pippa out in Australia. And so she was then, she signed up and then she was sharing. She said, I just want to share a couple of things. Firstly, and very excitedly, I've been contacted by a local business about the possibility of combining our skills and doing some corporate experience work. She's very excited. And she says, secondly, I plucked up the courage yesterday to ask clients if they had contacts for me, which is great. And then thirdly, and she was sharing about mirroring her own kind of, financial patterns from people in the family. And this was, again, before we had even started. We were just in pre-launch. And then I had someone else, this is saying, about they just signed up. And they were saying, by the way, it's looking like the financial windfall is now going to be multiple 6 figures for the next 12 months for me, which is very cool. Thank you for setting the HUNA in energy intention. Have a great week and keep producing fabulous content for us to learn from. So that was even before we got started. The energy was working its magic. There are times I'm doing stuff with people over the phone or even remotely and just, in thought. And this was from, some of you might know, the lovely Lac Loy. Where a client of mine who had done some HUNA work with me, Lac had been out of contract for 9 months, so he recommended he book a session. We did some stuff over the phone, and I was just going back to check with Lac because he'd been out of work at that point for 9 months, which is a long time if you're self-employed. And within a couple of days of doing the HUNA, suddenly, lo and behold, contracts that were dead in the water, poof, they had revived themselves. He's been in work and busy ever since. So this was me just asking Lac, can I share that story? And he says, yes, of course, Marilyn, anything to spread the awareness of this amazing spiritual technology. And then I was checking, was it 8 or 9 months that you were out of contract? And he says, that's right, I was out of contract for 9 months. So, and that was kind of doing stuff over the phone. This was someone else who, again, we hadn't started the program yet. And she says, your money program is working already, by the way. It's just that the money is coming in as a channel that I want to replace. Oops. So it just, because it was something, she was like, oh, should I continue with this or should I just let it go? Signed up for the program, stuff started happening. So we've got some really, really cool things. And also one of the questions people often ask is, what's the interaction like? Now, I've already given you a flavor with the photo reading workshop. And this was some feedback that I had from someone who took part in what was a 10-part series. And we did, each of our webinars was approximately 2 hours, sometimes 2.5 hours. So over 20 hours, but, you know, spread over a period of a few months. And I've said, would you recommend this webinar series to others? She says, absolutely, yes. This has been one of the first webinar series that I've attended virtually for all but the first session due to time conflicts. Usually I prefer classroom in person, but this has really exceeded my expectations and I have no hesitation recommending this program. And if you can attend live online, it's very powerful, and there are the bonus of the recordings if you cannot. And I think that's one of the things that surprises people, because once they kind of get over it, oh, we're in a webinar room, it's just like being in the room. So that's really cool. This is LAC. And one of the things that people say to me a lot, as LAC said when he called me up, it's like, you're not going to believe this. So it is miraculous. And that was LAC saying, you know, you have an amazing ability and it is having miraculous effects. That's one of the things that people find with this work, with the breakthrough stuff and with the HUNA. So that just gives you a little flavor of what to expect. And also one of the questions and calls I get a lot is, can you do something to help me with my sister, my brother, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my husband, my wife, blah, 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 blah. And I always explain, I can't make anyone do anything, but we'll clean up the energy around that. And this is one of my clients who was having a problem with a neighbor. There was a rusty old car that was sat outside of his house, his driveway, for I think, again, it was like 9 months. And they were getting into altercations about it. And one day he just had another run in. He was driving, he pulled over. We just did some HUNA over the phone. I have no idea who his neighbor is. The next day, the car was gone. And his wife said, like, you know, he said to me, my wife thinks you're a white witch, because we're like, what the hell happened there? So, you know, really amazing things. And also with regards to groups, which what it is when you're doing the workshops. This is an event that I have been the MC and chair for the last 3 years now, something called the TCCHE, the Conference for Consciousness and Human Evolution. And there I was doing I did like 5 minutes of HUNA the first year I was there. And for the next 4 days, I couldn't walk like 2 steps without somebody coming up to tell me about the miraculous things that were happening for them. So just a couple of examples of that on the screen. So somebody says, thank you so much for everything, the HUNA, and how beautifully you held the energy of the room and managed everything. And I kind of set the HUNA energy in the room, because, you know, there's 550 people there. There's a lot of people. So you can't work with all of them individually. Someone else says, I attended the 4-day TCCHE event a couple of weeks ago. And although I found the speakers fascinating, your HUNA work had the most profound effect on me. Someone else said, I did speak to you at the event, brackets, in the ladies, and explained how I felt the energy around me and sense of calm. But since that time, I'm quite amazed at what has happened. And what had happened with that, with over 500 people in the room, they all had a completely different experience of the HUNA. For people who had back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, joint pain, whatever pain, gone. For people who were tired and lethargic, suddenly they're awake. For people who are confused and thinking, I don't even know if I'm going to come back tomorrow, I think I might just need to go and lie down, suddenly their mind is clear, they're switched on. Seriously, the list was endless, but they were all in the same room, all receiving the same signal. So that's me on stage there with Greg Braden, Dr. Joe Dispenza, and the lovely Bruce Lipton. And so it does also work. That's one of the questions I had. It definitely works in a group context as well. I'm in the UK, and the energy travels as far afield as Australia. And this was from someone a few years ago who was just listening to an MP3 recording. They couldn't make it live. I'd done a call out to my e-newsletter list, because when I'm testing new stuff, I'm looking for volunteers. I used to say guinea pigs. I now say volunteers. And so I often get volunteers from my e-newsletter list to test things out for me. Pippa couldn't make it live because of the time difference. I'm in the UK, she's in Australia, but she listened to recording a few days afterwards. And you can see what she's saying here in terms of the profound impact and what she felt, which weirdly, and I didn't realize it until a couple of months ago when I was sharing this example with those who are asking similar questions about, well, how does it work if I can't make it live? And I realized that as I was reading through Pippa's example, she described what I was doing with the symbols, but had no idea what I was doing with the symbols, in terms of saying she felt it was compressed and uncomfortable. I used a symbol which is the thunder comes down and strikes the earth and makes the earth shake, and people often feel that as a pushback if they're sensitive to energy. She talked about the pain being drawn out of the body through the heart center, what she wouldn't have known because this was on a tele seminar and she was listening to an MP3 recording, so there's no video, and I was doing a thing where I'd open up the heart center and then you're pulling the energy and drawing it out. There was a whole thing where she said she was glowing from the inside out, and I used a symbol where the kind of the light of the sun glows from the inside out. I've got a picture, I'll show it to you a bit later. But she would have known none of that. All she would have heard is me going that's it. And even if you do Huna, you've got no idea. You know, if you're just listening to that, you've got no idea what I'm doing. So it can be really profound, even though it's just a recording. And this is the picture. So when people were saying during the second round, I felt the pain being drawn out of my body via my heart center. I slowly began to feel lighter. My heart center opened up more than previously, and I felt like I was glowing from the inside out as I'm typing the phrase, as if the light of my soul is now able to shine through my heart center, comes to mind. And at the time she was experiencing that, that is the symbol that I'd used, which has the light radiating out from the center. So it's kind of pretty profound. And this is one where she was talking about kind of the sense of expansion, feeling the kind of clearing the blocks, etc. Seriously, when I really clocked what had happened, I was like, oh man, that's just deep. So yes, it does work in terms of whether you're there live or not. And epic is a word that people often use. Huge is a word that people use. And when I was running some of these things live, people getting up at 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning, because they just loved it so much and wanted to be in the energy of that. So that's that. The next one is the fearless public speaking. But what I'm going to do before I do that is I'm going to go to just have a look. So I saw a couple of questions pop up. So let me just do those first of all. Whoa. Oh my God. Okay, I'll look at that one. Something different about the big clearing call. Woo. Yeah, I hope it's a good sign. Let me just, yeah. It's not quite what I'm looking at my email, but let me just do that while I'm here, and then I'll get to that question. Right. Okay, cool. All right, where was it? Yes, so it's all online, because it kind of asking how do you access the material. It's all online. So if you have the capacity to be watching me on the camera now, you have the capacity to do the programs. In terms of what you're asking, someone else was asking about the format. Most of them are the video webinar workshops, the Healing Heartbreak and Surviving and Thriving After an Affair. That's an audio program. So what I've done is uploaded all of the MP3 recordings from the teleseminars that I ran back then. There are, with many of them, there are kind of some coaching exercises, so you get access to those as PDFs. I would say the easiest way to get your head around how it all works and what it's all about is to log in, go to the site, pick either the photo reading or the archetypal journey, because that gives you free access, and then you get a sense for yourself about logging in. When you log in, it will ask you for your name, name and email address, and then you choose your password. And then once you're in, you're in. And I've also set it up particularly with the photo, well, with all of them actually. There are elements on all of the 8 courses where you can do a preview of some of the aspects, just so you see how it's laid out. So I would say the easiest way is to go in and give it a go and press some buttons. That's that. I'll have a look at the messenger one in a sec. Let me do that. Okay. Okay, in terms of, yes, so it depends. If you're booking something, sorry, they're asking about payment method. If you're booking something, let's say via the Eventbrite page, that's connected to PayPal. If you're doing it through the Transformations TM.newzenler page, newzenler.com page, that is set up with Stripe. So Stripe, you use your card for that. And if you wanted to pay by PayPal, I haven't attached PayPal to Zenler, it's Stripe, so you use your credit card. But if you wanted to do it by PayPal, then just let me know which course and I can send you a respective link. So Eventbrite and a lot of the other stuff that I'm doing, like via my own website, is PayPal. Zenler, the new course is Stripe. But if you wanted particularly to do PayPal, then you just send me a message and we can do that. Cool. Right, I think we're good. And the other one I know I've definitely answered in speaking. Cool. Righty. So the Fearless Public Speaking, that's a one-day online video webinar workshop. And I share with you all of the things that I did to go from terrified of public speaking to absolutely loving it. So what we're covering is how to go from terrified to loving it. I take you through the 5-step process that helps you to structure any talk or presentation. We look at how you can calm your nerves and anxiety, do some practical exercises around that, how to kind of really uncover and overcome some of the biggest self-saboteurs. People don't even know they have them, which is why I've said they're unconscious. And also looking at how you can have your energy work with and for you rather than against you, because sometimes people are their own worst enemies when it comes to the public speaking. I also talk about easy ways to deal with open forums, live audiences, dealing with questions, because I know that's one of the things that often terrifies people. If they can do their presentation and stick to the script or read their slides, they're cool. As soon as it's open and you don't know what people are going to ask, people often find that a little bit terrifying. Going to introduce you to a system that kind of helps you to remember and recall everything that you kind of want to do and want to say and all the rest of it. We also do a little bit about the angel investing from the days where I was working with startups and entrepreneurs about pitching and presenting their businesses, looking for angel and startup investment. There's an audience Q&A, so kind of answering the questions. And again, it will probably be most likely that people who took the program are asking the questions that you want on to. And we're surprise bonus session that'll be coming up next year. And I've had some really fantastic client case studies with this one. So for example, who you can see here is a lovely Erica Brodnock, who was petrified of public speaking when we first met, and she had been invited to do a TED talk about her business, Charisma Kids, and she's now an award-winning speaker, has won awards all over the world. I've lost track. And also was a regular on Sky News, which goes out live. And when you see her on Sky, confident, articulate, fantastic, amazing. And I, had been to some of her presentations and people didn't know who I was. And, so, how did you find the evening? Oh my God, it's a fantastic. But Erica, oh my God, she was just amazing. She was always the best speaker in the room. So, this stuff really works. Another of my clients are fantastic, Natasha Waldron. And what she said, we worked together a few months ago because she's really wanting to now be the face and the voice of her business. Again, really scared of public speaking. So we did a breakthrough session and some other work around that. And a few weeks ago, she was out speaking abroad, and she kind of posted something on Facebook that said, Marilyn, thank you so much. I've no idea what you did to me, but thank you from the bottom of my heart. So that is really, really lovely. And we were talking about 2 weeks ago, and she's like, oh yeah, I really love speaking now. I feel so at home on stage. And I was like, hold on there, because literally a few weeks ago, she hated it. And I said at the time when we started the breakthrough session, I said there will come a time where you absolutely love speaking, you love being on stage, and one of your first questions is going to be, let me check my diary and see if I'm free. And we were going out a few weeks ago, and she sent me a message, oh sorry Marilyn, I'm running late. I stayed longer answering questions on stage. And again, it was one of those pivotal moments, because she hated questions, because again, it's that open thing, you don't know what people are going to ask. And so the shifts and the changes and the transformations almost instantaneous. So really, really cool. So that's that one. Now, somebody had asked me about tips, so I said I'll include a few in this webinar. In terms of, one of the first things I say, get a grip on your mind, because oftentimes it's people's mind and what they're thinking and what they're feeling, what they're saying to themselves that contributes to a lot of the issues and the problems. I would say watch for making sweeping blanket statements. What I mean by that is hate presenting. That's often not normally true. Sometimes what people hate is the size of the presentation. They hate the structure of the presentation. They hate they're preparing for a presentation. So when you can get more clarity on what that is, you can then hone in on that and resolve that and sort that out. My third tip would be design a solid presentation strategy and spend less time worrying and more time planning and strategizing, because often when people are asked or booked in to do a talk presentation, and this isn't always a talk on stage, this can be presenting to your colleagues at work, speaking in a meeting, talking to your team. It doesn't have to be, you know, the lights, camera, action stuff and the live TV and live radio stuff that I do. It can be much smaller than that. But oftentimes when people know they have to do a presentation, they will spend a ton of time worrying. And if they put that time into planning and strategizing, it would serve them a way lot better. And the fourth thing I would say is take the focus beyond yourself and really be thinking about your audience. So that's a piece that we do quite a lot of work on in the one-day video webinar workshop, because as soon as you do that, it's an automatic neurological and what I would call a temporal shift. So those would be a couple of things I would say to think about with regards to presenting. If you wanted information about that outside of the 30% off for the video webinar workshop, go to bit.ly/fearless public speaking, and you'll find the information there. And you have the option of either doing a one-off payment or two payments of, at the moment, £177. That will change, obviously, once we roll into the new year. But that's what will be at the moment. But my suggestion would be, if you do want to do this workshop, just use the 30% off. Much better deal than that one. So that's that. Whew, we have the practitioner insider secrets. And someone had said of this one, in terms of the biggest gift you can give yourself is to attend this workshop, which is really, really lovely. And this is for people who have a ton of information sat inside of them and they're not utilizing it, they're not using it, they're not doing anything with that information. So, you know, for myself, the reason this workshop came about is I had just met so many brilliant practitioners and coaches and therapists, and they just weren't out in the world shining and sharing and doing their stuff and letting people know what they do. And one of the reasons for that was the whole process of designing and creating workshops, creating your own e-coaching programs, workshops, whatever it might be, was just, you know, how to use all of the online technology. It was just, people were just like, whoa. And so one of the things I wanted to do with this program is demystify that whole process and break it down, and to help people get their ideas out in the world. And so we go from idea to actually course and content and product creation during this one. It's who I had in mind initially was coaches and therapists and practitioners and consultants and entrepreneurs. I know that people who are outside of those fields who have a regular day job have used it as well, because often you have to create product and content in your day job. Really, for those who've got, you know, skills and knowledge and information to share, for anyone who is wanting to run workshops or events and you want to know where to start and how to do it, and also for what I call the skill collectors, and those who do shelf development, where you've got a lot of skills, a lot of talent, a lot of information, but you're just not even sure where to start with packaging that up and creating products about it. So that's really what this one is all about. So on this one-day video webinar workshop, we go from the blank sheet of paper process to the event creation process, looking at who you are and what you do, so you yourself get some clarity on that. I also take you through the event platforms and technology that I use to create my programs, run my programs, host my programs, all that sort of stuff, because that's the bit that really overwhelms people, I have found. We go through taking you through your own product creation process, a piece for what I call data mining, so you actually get clarity on what you know, how to harness the power of intuition, because that's been a big part of it for me. And we also do some Huna and Actions, consciousness, belief change work to help you get out of yourself, outside of yourself. A big part of it is the creating your storyboard and how you go from blank sheet of paper to whole event in 8 hours. So when I created the Magic and Gratitude program, for example, had a dream 3 nights in a row, finally got up at 3:30 in the morning, did a mind map to just get it out of my head. My brain was in like, well, let's just go downstairs and type your mind map up, which I did. And the first delegates were booked on that workshop by 11 o'clock that morning. So I will take you through the whole process to show you how to go from 0 to full program in record time, if that's what you want to do. Because if you've already got the information sitting there, it's often just a case now of really putting it into the right order and having a process and a strategy and a plan. And a framework for doing that. So that's that one. And the tip I would give you with this one, for people asking, well, what do you say about getting started? A quote that I came across, it says, trust yourself. You know more than you think you do. And that's from Benjamin Spock. And that's a big thing I would say. Often when I sit down with people and we go break this process down, they're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I can help people design a whole workshop in just a couple of hours. And that's a workshop that's actually been sat there sometimes for years or even decades, and people hadn't quite seen the value of it, or the way that you'd kind of package it up so that other people can benefit from those skills and knowledge. So I'd say that's a really big part of that one. And this was from someone who did the first online video when I ran it as the online video webinar workshop, which is kind of now on the e-learning platform. And they said, what an amazing workshop. Thank you so much for your time and energy. And I know I had someone else who said they thought they'd miss being in the room, because up until that point they'd always attended my in-person workshops, and they said, wow, it was just amazing. So, you know, the experience that people have, very similar, if not the same. If I feedback from the online events and I showed you the feedback from the in-person workshops and I didn't tell you which was which, you'd have no idea. So that's really lovely. And you know, one of the kind of final programs that I've just launched last week is the Healing Heartbreak and how to survive and thrive after the affair. So for anyone who's had a bad or messy breakup, for anyone who has been cheated on or even done the cheating, I'd say this one is for you. So again, I've set up some preview modules. So if you wanted to head on over to that particular module, do a couple of the preview pieces. And this one is broken down into 5. It's a 5-part audio series, plus there are 2 bonus modules and some other bonus material on there as well. But if you head on over to that one, then you'll be able to get a flavor of it. And I've listed all the modules out, what's included with each of the audio programs with that one. And what for me was different and special about this one, not just unique content, which it is, but it was hearing from a number of different perspectives. So we heard from the perspective of the person who'd been cheated on, because often if you're the one who's cheated, you sometimes don't get the magnitude of what's been done to the person. And you know, so someone here, for example, was saying, I was devastated, hurt, bewildered and physically sick when they found that their partner had an affair. I also went to the other perspective and I was asking people who'd had an affair. I did a survey before I put the program together, and people were very honest and very forthcoming. And I asked what was going on, what was going through your mind, and what were you thinking while you were cheating on your partner? And they answered. And I also had part of the survey for people who are the other man or the other woman, so like who was the third wheel in the love triangle. And they also talked about how they felt when they knew they were sleeping with someone who already had a partner. So you get all of those 3 perspectives as well, which I think is important, particularly when you're wanting to heal a relationship, because oftentimes you can only see it from your point of view. And I think that one was really a game changer and mind opening for people when they went through this 5-part series. So all of that is included as well. So that's it in terms of what's on the new e-learning platform. There will be more to come. So if you've got any questions, if you've got any queries about anything I've covered on this live stream and this whistle stop rocket fueled tour through what's happening at the moment, you can type them in the comments. If you're watching this in real time, you can type that in now, or send me a message, send me an email. If you're watching this as a recording, feel free to put your comments in. I'll still come back and answer those. So have a think and let me know. One of the questions I had is, are we going to include some access consciousness? So yes, you will find that with many of the programs I've talked about, there is a dose of access consciousness in there as well. So you can see Gary Douglas and Dr. Dane here, the co-creators of Access. So that's woven throughout I think pretty much all of the programs actually. Just trying to think if it's not in any of the programs. Oh, it's not in the archetypes. I don't think it's in the archetypes, but I think everything else you're probably going to get a little taster. If you wanted to see what's going to be coming further down the line over the next 12 to 24, even kind of, 3 or 4 years down the line, because I'm not going to do everything in 2020, the long list of titles, go to www.bit.ly/Marilyn Webinar Series. And that will show you a list of everything that is coming, that I'm going to be working on, that I'm going to be launching. And the way that it works at the moment, when I'm launching something new, I run it on my webinar platform. So you have the opportunity to join me live. If you cannot join me live, it will then be uploaded to the e-learning platform, which is what I'm launching this week. So you can then catch the replays and do it at your own pace and do it at your leisure. So that's where you can go for coming attractions. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for watching and taking the time out of your day to do so. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you also to those who have shared, and I'll give you a little reminder about that in a moment. But if you've got any questions, if you've got any queries, you can email me. It's Marilyn, Marilyn. So Marilyn at transformationstm.com. Trance is TRANCE. Formations is F for Freddy. So FORMATIONS. TM as in trademark, so Marilyn at transformationstm.com. Website is www.transformationstm.com. My blog is /Marilyn Devonish, and Devonish is DEV for Victor, ONISH, so marilyndevonish.com. On most of social media, it's /Marilyn Devonish, that's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. Where that's different is Instagram, and it's the Neuro Success Coach. So that's where you'll find me if you've got any further questions or queries about anything that's currently on stream, anything that's coming up, how you can take part in workshops, how you can, well, if you wanted to volunteer, people are often asking that. The easiest way to become a volunteer when I'm testing out new material, which means you get to experience it free of charge before everyone else and provide feedback so I can improve it before I launch. Easiest way to do that is be on my e-newsletter list. So you'll find a link both on the blog and on my main Transformations website where you can sign up for the e-newsletter list. And what I'll do is I'll add that into the description of the video as well if you wanted to sign up, and that's how you get to do that. And if you want to share this video on social media, if it's on Facebook and you hit the share button, I can see who shared it, so that's going to be easy. If you want to tag me, if you've seen it on YouTube and you're sharing the link, then tag me at Marilyn Devonish. Let me know which of the one-day video webinar workshops you want to do, and while we're in beta test, I'll send you a link where you can get 60% off. So that's how you do that. And next steps, if you happen to be watching this several weeks, several months, or even several years after today, the place to go to see what the current offers are, what the current launches are. I've got an ongoing page on my blog, so go to www.bit.ly/current offers TM, and many of the offers, depending on where we are, expire at the end of the month, hence doing this video just to let you know what's coming and what's going to be expiring and changing. But go to that current offers page, and then you'll be able to see whatever the current offer is, even if you're not watching this in real time. So thank you so much for joining me. Any questions, any queries, let me know. And also, if you're watching and you know someone who could benefit from one of those workshops that I've already launched, or if you've had a look at the series page and you see there's something coming up, please feel free to share this link with them. The more the merrier. And also, if you've done any of those programs and you've got some feedback, some testimonials to share, that would be really, really appreciated as well. Because me talking about it is one thing, there's real power in social proof and other people sharing their experiences. So you can do that on the thread, you can share it, and if you are sharing it, maybe just say a few words about your experience. And I've also kind of got my Google review page as well, so that's fantastic. And I've also got a testimonials form on my website, and I'll add the link to that form as well. So that's always very much appreciated. So when you're sharing in your own words, people that don't know me, but they know you, and you're sharing your experience of taking part and the way that your mind and life has changed business, etc. That's always really kind of valuable and helpful. So yeah, feel free to share. Thank you for watching. I will catch you all later, and I really look forward to working with those of you who are going to be signing up for the new platform and doing some of the programs. What's also coming up and coming on stream with that, there's a community that's built into that new platform. And also for those of you who are content, course and program creators, the platform that I'm using is in beta at the moment, and I'm also beta testing, hence the brilliant price, so you can test it out with me. But also I have a couple of invitations left where you can get in at the beta price, and that price is locked in for as long as you're using the program. So it's an annual fee. I think it's $447 at the moment, and that's what you'd pay for the year. And it will always stay the same, and that's the price until they get out of beta and they come into full launch, and then it will be a whole different ball game and pricing structure. So if any of you know that you'd like to use the platform once you've gone and had a look at it, send me an email and I can send you the link where you can sign up at that price. And that's the lifetime price. It's an annual price, but the price will always remain the same. They will not be increasing it for the beta test members and the founding members. So if that sounds like something you would like to build for yourself, and just to put it into context, within about 12 hours of signing up for the program, I'd already launched my first course, and it took me just under a week, about 6 days, to create the first 8 courses. For those of you who've built websites and worked with technology and platforms, you will know that's really fast. And I know people who, you know, there are a number of platforms out there, and I know there are people who've using kind of Teachable, Thinkific, Kajabi, etc. They've all, you know, looked at this platform and said they absolutely love it. So if that's something you're interested in, drop me an email or send me a private message, and I'll let you know more about that and how you could get in at the beta test price. But it's limited. We're not allowed to share links, etc., because they want to limit the number of people who are coming in at beta and at that price, because of course for them it's far more lucrative to have you come in after they've launched. So we've each been given a limited number of links that we can share, and once those are gone, I can't invite anyone else. But if you know you seriously would like to build something, cool, let me know. Well, thank you for watching. Wishing you fabulous end of this year, an incredible 2020 and beyond. And I'm really excited about the new decade, and it's really lovely to go into it with new stuff, things that are launched, etc. And I'll put the link for the gift vouchers, how you enter the free prize draw for the masterclass, how you can find the 30% off, all of that. I'll add that to the description of this video. So Marilyn Devonish from transformationstm.com, over and out.